Welcome back. Dear friends, in this third lecture, we'll see the topic that is monosaccharides. This is our third lecture of carbohydrates. Monosaccharides are colorless, crystalline solids that are very soluble in water but insoluble in non-polar solvents. Most have a sweet taste. The backbone of common monosaccharides are unbranched carbon chain in which all carbons are linked by the single bonds. In this open chain form, one of the carbon atom is double bond to an oxygen atom to form a carbonyl group. Each of the other carbons has hydroxyl group. If the carbonyl group is at the end of carbon chain, the monosaccharide is called aldose. If the carbonyl group is at the other position, the monosaccharide is known as ketose. Monosaccharides with 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 carbon in their backbones are called triose, tetrose, pentose, hexose, and heptose. Many of the carbon atoms to which hydroxyl group are attached are chiral centers. This gives rise to the many stereoisomers found in monosaccharides. Stereoisomers are a mirror image of isomers. Isomer means the similar structure but different in function. Monosaccharides. Monosaccharides are fructose, which is sweetest of natural sugars. It is found in fruits, the part of high fructose corn syrup. Galactose, it is commonly occur as a part of disaccharide lactose. See, this is the structure. Here we can study the hexose sugar, glucose, galactose, and fructose with their diagram, and look at the position. H hydrogen connect with carbon, double bond with oxygen in glucose. See the structure of galactose and check the difference. In the one side, right hand side, there is OH. The OH is also present in left side of galactose. And in fructose, the double bond between carbon and oxygen is on another place. Okay. Disaccharides, three disaccharides, that is sucrose, it is most common, lactose, maltose. Maltose is least common. It's formed from the digestion of starches. See the monosaccharides and disaccharides, how it's formed. When two glucose are joined together and they gives water molecule and form a disaccharides maltose. When a single molecule of glucose combine with fructose, giving water and form disaccharide sucrose. Whereas galactose combine with glucose, giving water molecule, a form disaccharide name is lactose. Oligosaccharides. It is similar in length to the simple carbohydrates, similar in the makeup to polysaccharides. Humans lack the enzyme necessary to digest them. So, intestinal microflora digest and ferment them. It causes bloating, discomfort, and flatulations. Food sugars, legumes, beans, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, and broccoli. Structure of oligosaccharides, it is raffinose, is formed by the combination of galactose and sucrose molecule. The properties of monosaccharides. Monosaccharides such as glucose and fructose are the crystalline solids at the room temperature, but they are quite soluble in water, each molecule having several OH group. that readily engage in hydrogen bonding. The chemical behavior of these monosaccharides is likewise determined by their functional group. Monosaccharides contain the elements carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and have the general formula CN in bracket H2O n times, where n is a whole number 3 or greater. Monosaccharides contain several functional groups. They contain the hydroxyl group represented as OH. They also contain carbonyl group, which is an oxygen double bonded to a carbon atom. The carbonyl group may be an aldehyde or ketone. The functional group of glucose are shown in the figure. That is, this yellow color is showing the aldehyde and is somehow blue, that is alcohol. Okay, this O double bond C, that is carbonyl group. So it is CHO, that is a formaldehyde. An aldehyde is an organic compound containing the carbonyl group. Benzaldehyde is a common compound responsible for the aroma of almonds and cherries. Is the one example. Now you can guys get the idea about the aroma about cherries and almonds. It is nothing but the because of benzaldehyde. Aldehydes, member of this family, always contain carbonyl group with hydrogen atom bonded to the one side and an alkyl or aromatic bonded to the other. An exception is formaldehyde, a well-known preservatives. As we know, in our museum, our specimen we have preserved in the formaldehyde. Okay, which has two hydrogen bonded to the carbonyl group. Okay, the formaldehyde is a CHO CHO, where is double two hydrogen and having double bond with carbonyl group. Aldehydes, it is a monosaccharides can contain an aldehyde group at the one end of the molecule in addition to the multiple hydroxyl group. See the aldehyde structures, that is CHO. Remember very well, aldehydes having CHO group, functional group, that is aldehyde. See here in yellow color aldehyde is there and in blue color there is a alcohol. Ketones also contain the carbonyl group but has a alkyl or aromatic group on both sides of the carbonyl group. Acetone is the simplest ketone. It is the main component of fingernail polish remover. See acetone. Ketones, a wide variety of biological important compounds contain ketone group. Pyruvate is a ketone containing compound formed during the breakdown of glucose. Butanidione, the flavor of butter, contain two ketones group. ज्या लोकांना बटर आवडतं तर ते काय खात आहेत त्यांना लक्षात येत असेल की ते कीटोनचा कुठला ग्रुप खात आहेत. Monosaccharides that contain aldehyde group are referred to as aldose. Those that contain ketone group are referred to as ketones. See the difference? ज्या मोनोसॅकराइड्स मध्ये अल्डिहाइड आहे त्याला अल्डोज म्हणायचं आणि ज्यामध्ये कीटोन ग्रुप आहे त्याला कीटोज म्हणायचं. Monosaccharides are classified according to the number of carbon atoms. Most common monosaccharides have 3 to 6 carbon atoms. Triose contain 3 carbons, tetrose contain 4 carbons, pentose contain 5 carbons, hexose contain 6 carbons. Carbohydrates are further classified on whether they contain an aldehyde or ketone group. For example, glucose, the most abundant monosaccharide found in nature, contains 6 carbon and an aldehyde group. It is classified as a aldohexose. See friends, glucose दुसरं नाव जर विचारलं तर you should know that is aldohexose. Okay. Fructose, known as fruit sugar, contains 6 carbon and ketone group. It is classified as a ketohexose. MCQs must be maybe asked on this basis. The another name of glucose is aldohexase, which is the another name of fructose, that is ketohexase. Aldohexase and ketohexase differ in the number of carbon atom and in the type of carbonyl group they contain. See the structures: aldehyde and ketopentose, aldohexose, see D-glucose, D-galactose and talose. See the difference of their structure. In D-glucose, what is the difference? The fourth carbon having OH of their right side and hydrogen on their left side, where in D-galactose it is reverse. Okay. Some important monosaccharides. Glucose is the most abundant. Glucose is known as dextrose, blood sugar and grape sugar. Glucose is broken down in cells to produce energy. Diabetics have difficulty getting glucose in their cells, which is why they must monitor their glucose level regularly. Glucose is the one of the monosaccharides of sucrose and lactose, as well as polysaccharides of glycogen, starch and cellulose. Monos or monosaccharides is found in some fruits and vegetables. Cranberries contain high amount of mannose, which has been shown to be effective in urinary tract infection. Mannose is a epimer of glucose. Fructose ketose is commonly referred to as fruit sugar or levulose. Fructose is combined with glucose to give sucrose or table sugar. Fructose is the sweetest monosaccharide and is found in fruits, vegetable and honey. Fructose is not an epimer of glucose, but it can be broken down for energy in the body. Epimer, isomer, enantiomer, stereoisomers are the isomers of same structures but different chemical, different their functional group. The structure and chemical formula are same, but their function are different. Previous year it was in your syllabus. This year these epimers and isomers are deleted. In due course of time, we'll see the stereochemistry of carbohydrates if we get time permit. Monosaccharides and redox. An aldehyde function group can undergo oxidation by gaining oxygen, or it can undergo reduction by gaining hydrogen. During oxidation, aldehyde forms carboxylic acids, and during reduction, they form alcohols. In monosaccharides, oxidation produces sugar acid and reduction produces sugar alcohol. See the reaction very carefully. Monosaccharides on oxidation they produce sugar, and in reduction they produce sugar alcohol. Oxidation and reduction. Oxidation and reduction reaction are commonly called as redox reaction. Oxidation is a loss of electrons. Reduction is a gain of electron. The mnemonic of oil ring is helps to remember redox reaction. कसं लक्षात ठेवायचं? ऑइल ऑक्सिडेशन लॉस इलेक्ट्रॉन, रिंग रिडक्शन गेन इलेक्ट्रॉन. सिंपल टेक्निक आहे. ऑइल रिंग ऑन ऑक्सिडेशन इलेक्ट्रॉनचा लॉस होतो, रिंग इलेक्ट्रॉनचा गेन होतो. देन रिडॉक्स oxidation and reduction reaction continue मध्ये you see the carboxylic acid oxidation aldehyde reduction alcohol. Pentose are 5 carbon sugar and include ribose and 2 deoxyribose, which are part of nucleic acids that make up genetic material. In our previous lectures, I point out this pentose sugar and didn't explain about this because to recall you. Okay, in ribonucleic acid in RNA, it contains ribose, and deoxyribonucleic acid DNA, it contains deoxyribose. The difference between these two pentose is the absence of an oxygen atom on carbon number 2 of deoxyribose. Ribose is also found in the vitamin riboflavin and other biologically important molecules. As we know, the in DNA molecule there is a pentose sugar, right? When in this ribose sugar, a carbon of second number when lose is oxygen, then it's called deoxyribose. Got it? So this is the basic difference between RNA and DNA. Pentose is a 5 carbon simple carbohydrate monosaccharides. There are two types of pentose, ketopentose and aldopentose. The ketopentose have a ketone functional group located at position number 2 or 3 of the pentose ring. Aldopentose have aldehyde functional group located at position number 1 of the pentose ring. सिंपल फरक आहे अल्डोज आणि पेंटोजमध्ये की पेंटोज अल्डोपेंटोजमध्ये अल्डिहाइड फंक्शनल ग्रुप आहे, कीटोपेंटोजमध्ये कीटोन फंक्शनल ग्रुप आहे, पण त्याचं लोकेशन काय दुसऱ्या किंवा तिसऱ्या ठिकाणी आणि अल्डिहाइडमध्ये पहिल्या कार्बनला. ठीक आहे. एक्झाम्पल ऑफ अल्डोपेंटोज आर रायबोज, अराबिनोज, लायझोस and xylose. Ribose chemical formula C5H10O5 and deoxyribose are constitute of nucleic acid and nucleotides. In particular, ribose is the pentose sugar component of the nucleic acid of RNA, whereas deoxyribose is the sugar component of the nucleotides of DNA. Arabinose is also naturally occurring. For example, it is a component of hemicellulose and pectin. Lysose occurs naturally as well, but relatively less common in nature. For example, it can be found as a component of bacterial glycolipids. Xylose is the first isolated form wood. It is a main component of the hemicellulose xylane. Example of ketopentose are ribulose and xylulose. The word pent means 5 and OS means sugar. That's why pentose, 5 carbon sugar. This is the structure of deoxyribose and ribose sugar. You might be studied in your 12 or in last lectures in our last years. The monosaccharides are a simple form of carbohydrates. They are classified according to the number of carbon atom in the monosaccharides. In particular, a hexose is the monosaccharide with 6 carbons. Monosaccharides may be also classified based on the type of carbonyl group they contain. An aldose is monosaccharide that contain an aldehyde group CHO at position number 1, whereas ketose is the one that contain a ketone group, that is C double bond O, at the position number 2 or 3. Thus aldohexose is a hexose with the aldehyde group. A ketohexose is the contrast, is a hexose with the ketone functional group located in the position number 2. The aldohexose have 4 chiral centers. Because of that, there are 16 possible stereoisomers. Example of aldohexoses are glucose, mannose, galactose, glucose, idose, talose, allose and अल्ट्रोज. हे कसं वाटतं ना एकदम अलोस, गेलोस, केलोस, खाल्लोस. तसंच स्पेलिंग व्यवस्थित लक्षात ठेवा म्हणजे एक्झाम्पल यायला सोपं जाईल. नाहीतर उठलो बसलोस असं करू नका. ग्लुकोज इज वन ऑफ द product of photosynthesis in the plants and other photosynthetic organism. It also serves as an important metabolic intermediate of cellular respiration. In animals, an excess of glucose is stored as a glycogen. In plants, glucose molecules are stored as repeating units of sugar. Ketohexoses have three chiral centers. As such as there are 8 possible stereoisomers. Example of ketohexoses are fructose, picose, sarbose and tagatose. The word origin that is hexo means 6 and always related to the sugar. These are the hexose and it is a pentose. The 5 carbon and in hexose 6 carbon. 5 कार्बन कुठे आहेत पेंटोजमध्ये. एक्झाम्पल काय फ्रुक्टोज. हेक्झोस एक्झाम्पल काय ग्लुकोज. These are the some structures we can study that comparative structures between glucose, fructose, galactose and deoxyribose and ribose. So, two examples there. Pentose example आहे रायबोस and deoxyribose आणि हेक्झोस एक्झाम्पल आहे ग्लुकोज, फ्रुक्टोज, गॅलॅक्टोज. स्ट्रक्चर व्यवस्थित स्टडी करा. लक्षात राहू द्या काय काय डिफरन्स आहेत, कुठे कार्बन किती आहेत. पेंटोजमध्ये किती कार्बन आहेत. देर आर 5 कार्बन्स देअर. हेक्झोस देर आर 6 कार्बन आर देअर. ओके. So thank you so much for your kind listening.